In this video, we're going to go over a series of steps for the virtual assistants about how to use the quote calculator whenever we're assembling a quote for Christmas lights. So these are the steps, some considerations you're going to have to make whenever we're putting together a Christmas light quote using the calculator. So let's jump to the calculator real quick. As you can see, once it loads, it's going to show just the numbers that are relevant to the services that we care about. So in this case, for Christmas lights. So we see that the distance fee is 9. That represents from the starting location, oftentimes our office, our meeting location, to the appointment. Maybe it's 9 miles. It's pretty average in this case for how far we have to drive for most of the appointments. So in this case, 9 miles. We measured it. It's covered in another video. Let's put 9. It's believable. Whatever the case is, to be accurate, do that number. But in this case, 9. So next we have the length of Christmas light, the linear feet of Christmas light. So as covered in another video, we'll go over how to measure those. But you can say that we have to drive 9 miles and maybe that house has 110 linear feet of Christmas lights that are needed. So we need to supply those, install them, remove them, or the homeowner provides them and we install and remove. But that's in the weeds, doesn't really matter. All it matters is to you that the numbers are presented correctly. 9 miles, 110 linear feet. Next, from after making sure that the numbers are correct in cells C2 to C7, we have from cells D9 to I think D17, where we're making sure that all the appropriate checkboxes are checked. So make sure that the base appointment fee is always going to be checked. Make sure it's always checked. Don't ever uncheck it. Make sure the gated community fee is checked if it's worked, if that house is located in a gated community. So let's say in this case, we've identified it's in a gated community. So we're going to check that box accordingly. Next, we have the OSHA roof safety fee. So always check the base appointment fee. Make sure it's always checked, as well as the OSHA roof safety fee. It's only going to charge it one accordingly, which for Christmas lights is always. So make sure that base appointment fee is checked, gated community is checked if appropriate, and then the OSHA roof safety fee is checked always. Next, we have the Spanish tile roof. Let's say in this case, we've identified is that it has a Spanish tile roof, which is a rounded style of roof. It's a little bit more difficult to walk on, more liability. So we're going to charge accordingly. So we have the numbers entered correctly from in cells C2 with the distance, cell C7 with the linear feet of Christmas lights that's required. And then we have the checkboxes in D9, D10, D11 checked because it's a base appointment fee, always checked. Gated community, let's say in this case, it's a gated community. OSHA roof safety always checked, and then the Spanish tile roof in what is that, cell D13, I think. That's checked because it's identified as such, as having a Spanish tile roof. Next, let's scroll down. Once the numbers are checked, input correctly, and the checkboxes are checked correctly, we're now going to go down to rows 35 and 36, where we have the Christmas light quotes. In this case, we have 4 quotes that we're presenting to the customer with varying details, different types of lights, different details thereof. So here's the numbers you're going to input. Make sure to input the correct number of stories. If it's a 1-story house, use the 1-story quotes. If it's a 2-story house, use the 2-story quotes. As you can tell with the services that we provide, we quote differently for 1-story and 2-story because it's different amounts of time and risk and liability. And so we're going to charge differently. So make sure to use the right numbers from cells B35 to E35 if it's a 1-story Christmas light quote, and then cells B36 to E36 if it's a 2-story Christmas light quote. Also note that to the right of that is install only and remove only quotes. So maybe we have a quote for a 1-story install only. That's going to be cells G35, it looks like. And then maybe let's say we have a 2-story removal only is going to be cell I36. So this is a little bit more complicated than the other services. There's more options. Just make sure we're quoting correctly for 1-story and 2-story accordingly to whatever details are requested for that service. So that's how you use the quote calculator when assembling a quote for Christmas.